Okay, you guys, I want to show you a skirt that I made a few years ago, and I kind of sort of finished it after I kind of dug it up. But it was one of my beginning pieces, and this is what it looks like. And it was me trying to do something creative and different. And so I would say this was probably one of my first things I tried to do creatively and differently. Trying to add some little suspenders on there like this, and I tied it. It's right here tied up at the back. But if you will take a closer look at it, you can tell that there were some things that I kind of did that were like not well put together. And so what I'm gonna do is, you can kind of tell here, I was aiming for some stuff. I was aiming to do some things, and it just didn't some too much fabric, and I need to go back over there and close it up. I put in a slip and everything, so I put in my slip and put in my slip. I put in my skirt. I wanted to do two pieces of fabric, but this top part, you guys, I was really trying to do something creative. And I was trying to create, not only was I trying to create suspenders to where you can suspend it like over yourself like this. Hold on, let me turn it around so you'll be able to see. But it was going to be like this, and it worked. But at the back, it's a little thing, does something a little bit differently. And then I was also trying to make it to where you could also tie it in a bow if you wanted to do that as well. And the other way, I cannot remember. And then too, like if you wanted to put it up on the skirt, it really is a skirt. And so I'm going to revamp this, and then I'm going to show you exactly what it looks like, because this was a rush job, but I really want to make it better. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do, is make it better. And then when I do, I'm going to show it to you guys. Right now, I'm going to show you what it looks like on. Okay. And so I'm going to put it on just so you can see what it looks like. So this is the skirt. This is what it looks like from the front. Then I wanted some buttons on there, you guys. And so I'm going to take this, and this is what it's supposed to look like, because I was so obsessed with suspenders. I was like, I'm going to make a dress that I can have suspenders on it. And so that's that. Let me tuck in my shirt from the back, y'all. Hold on. So that's that. So, and then, so if you can see right here, you can kind of still see the elastic a little bit. It didn't cover it up that well, and I shouldn't be able to see that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to break it apart, and you'll be able to see exactly what it's going to look like. And then I can flood it and be as cute as I want to be. Follow along with me. It's alterations time on an OO design, alterations time on an OO design. So the first thing I needed to do was to break the dress down back to smaller components. And so I had to get my seam ripper and take out the elastic waistband. Now, the thing about the elastic waistband is that you want to make sure it's properly sewn in there, because the purpose behind the reason why you use it is so that it can be able to fit around your waist, make the material more stretchy so that you won't have to put in a zipper or anything else to make it fit. The elastic waistband is something that can makes it easier to be able to stretch your dress out, and it also pulls the pieces in. So when I first made this dress, I knew that I had too much fabric in there, and so that's why you find that some of the pieces were folded down together, because I figured if I folded it, then I put an elastic waistband in there, it could fit on my waist a little bit better. And you saw that it did fit on my waist, but it still was kind of bulky. So here I am taking out the waistband because it's not properly sewn in, although it's still functioning as one. And then I also noticed too that I was using some of the fabric to cover up some things that were going on with the bottom of my fabric. And this just goes to show that no matter where you start at with design, you can always go and make it better. So the elastic waistband is out, and now I can focus on using the seam ripper to remove more pieces from this skirt. And so I decided to work on my suspenders. Now, mind you, suspenders aren't usually made with soft materials like this. Is normally made with something a little bit more durable and, and stretchy and a little bit more thicker and thicker. And so the reason why I decided to use fabric was because of the simple fact that I wanted it to have the look of suspenders, but also be able to be versatile so that you can be able to use it in multiple ways for a bow, to tie it around at the front and then the back, and also use it to be suspended. So I knew that I needed longer fabric. And so now I am now disconnecting those pieces from the skirt so that I can start over and really begin to work on my fabric band around my waist, because it is uneven, and one of the things that you need for fabric to be is even. It was tough trying to take the thread out because I double stitched it, but eventually I got it loosed and separated so that now you can see what it looks like. And I kept that part together, and I started to work on the other piece as well before I took my skirt and began to work on the overall band itself. Because if you notice around there, it's folded as if it is a pleated skirt. And so that's the part that I kind of really did not like. But I was using it so that it could fit around my waist better according to the measurement. It took me some time taking this out, but once I got it fully free, then I was able to do more with the skirt. So I took that piece out, the two. So if you can tell here, the waistband is uneven. You guys, I was just so excited about getting this skirt done. When I got to the waistband, I was just like, oh, it'll be okay. I can cover up the fact that it's not even. But let me tell you something. When you're sewing, you want to make sure that your fabric is cut even. It makes a huge and a major difference. That's not a part that you want to skip over. And so when I began to do this, I also noticed just different things that occurred in the fabric when I was sewing, like holes. And we're going to see how we can put it together without having to bind any more fabric. So I'm getting ready to pin this down, but I'm also in the thought processing phase. And so I'm looking at my fabric, I'm taking out my pins, and I'm pinning this down, trying to figure out if this is something that I really want to do, or if I want to take out the inside part, if I want to take out the slip and start all over again. And eventually, you guys, even though I had pinned this down, I had tested it out in different ways, how I could put the actual suspenders on there, and I just decided that I could not do it. And so my first initial thought was I needed to cut the waistband down because there was just so many holes that I was looking at, and just the fabric, you can tell that it was worn, but I wanted to make it look new without having to go purchase anything. And so my initial thought was, well, maybe if I folded it over, if I cut down the fabric, then I can do something with it. And so we're going to see my journey here with trying to clean up this design. This and this, you guys, was like a old it was like a something for that someone used for a decorative piece for a cake, and I end up washing it, and I end up using it as a slip cover, and it works out just fine. And so I just wanted to share that little bit of a story. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this part off. And so I could take my seam ripper and finish ripping it off, but I'm going to actually take it and I'm going to revamp this whole thing because of the simple fact that, there's just like holes at the end of it. And I was like, you know what, I can pull it together. But the more I kind of work with it and play with it, I'm just wanting really to just revamp it all together. That way I'll be able to kind of fold it down. And then it'll look a little bit differently than what it was originally intended for. But the thing about it is, it will be a cleaner design than the original one was. So here you can kind of hear me explaining and showing you exactly what I had planned to do. But then as I kept working with the fabric, you can see me here cutting it down to a smaller part so that it can look cleaner and it looks better. But I kept on figuring out and trying to see the end result of the thing, which is what caused me to work and operate as I did. And eventually you will see that I just went ahead and decided to take the slip from the main piece of the fabric so that I can get done what exactly needs to be done using my handy dandy seam ripper again. The thing about the seam ripper, I sewed it so tight that it did cause more holes in the design, but I was able to work past that to separate the pieces and be able to make something new. Now, if you guys are wanting to revamp a design, you can always go to the store and buy some more fabric that's like the fabric that you currently have that you're working on. But in this particular piece, I wanted to use what was already there. So this was the yay moment. Everything had been separated. Everything could be worked on. I could start rebuilding my design. And then I finally realized, wait a second, I can't redo it because this piece is way too big, is way too long. I cannot believe that I put this much extra fabric in this design. And so I decided to take two of the panels, I'm gonna call it panels, two of them out before I began to sew and work on my design, making sure that I had some red thread in order to match the fabric. I began to sew the pieces together after I replaced two of the pieces, took them out of there so that I could sew it back down. And then after I sewed the first piece together, I connected the slip with it and I put a thinner elastic waistband in there so that it could look better rather than using a wide elastic waistband. And after sewing the pieces together and doing the design, I was so excited to be able to put it on. Made sure I ironed it out. And some pieces need to be ironed. You guys, I was just really excited about showing it. And so here I am just kind of putting the pieces together using my sewing machine to make sure it's down nice and neat. And here I am showing you, this is how you know to keep your line straight, a 15-inch seam. So I wanted to come on and show you guys a little bit of my progress and some things that I did differently. If you remember in the beginning how my back part was with the ties, the suspenders or ties, depends on how you use them. So this is what I did with them differently. I end up sewing them in between the two pieces, this piece and in between the inside part so that it can look like this instead. And I also added an elastic waistband so that it's stretchy in the middle. And I also flipped around the bottom so that the tears, you won't be able to see it. It looks like it's new. I did not switch out any of the fabric. I used the same fabric that I had at first in place. I had to take everything apart, not everything, because obviously I didn't take these parts apart, my actual skirt, but I had to detach everything else. I had to detach this part, I had to detach that part, and just kind of re-sew everything back on there. So now I'm going to put it on. So I'm showing you the fit of the dress. This is what it looks like. And then at the back, you see the ties. Oh, you can see a little bit of that. So I have to tuck that in and just iron it out a little bit. But you see this. So now all that they have to do, as I did with the previous design, I wanted to make, and the great thing about the elastic It'll hold that part together. Now, if I wanted to, I can put some buttons on this and different things like that. Put some buttons right here. But then I would have to put holes in it. And so I can wear it like that. I can also crisscross it in the back. So let's crisscross it in the back. And it looks like that at the back. So I can wear it like suspenders. If you have like if you want to do something different with your voice. So sailor girl kind of thing. Then it can be a bow tie like that. This obviously too. I just wanted to do something because I love scarves, and so that's not gonna work. And take it and you can tie it around like this as well. So now it becomes a bow at the front. Voila. Or you can take it and just tie it at the back, and you can have a bow at the back. Voila. And so I think that this works out a whole lot better. Taking this extra piece out of there, you guys, do you see how this skirt is fitting on me right now? So when I made this about 4 or 5 years ago, I had this extra piece in there. And so my thing was I was going to make it a pleated skirt, but I did this. This was like a whole nother shirt. This could be like a whole shirt, y'all. Like a whole nother shirt. Do you see that? Making me a little cape or something. Do you see that? Okay. Don't play. I will make it into a shirt. That can be a whole nother outfit, y'all. Okay. But right now, we are focusing in on this. So those were the bows. The different ways that you can wear this particular skirt. And I'm going to take it. And at the time when I made this, I was just so obsessed with the idea of just wanting to do suspenders, having suspenders. Oh, I want suspenders, suspenders is. And so that's why I decided to do this like that. And the thing about it is, if I were to take this and take that, and then in the middle right here, if I had like a little scarf, I have a loose piece of fabric. This is just an extra piece of fabric that I cut off. Then I could take it and I can do something different with it. Like that. Ta-da! And you have your outfit. Tell me what you think in the comments below. And remember to like, subscribe, and share.